Wacky Wednesday. How are we doing, everybody? It's your man, Sammy, the man McIntyre with Moving the Chains podcast. Hope we're rocking, hope we're rolling today on this Wacky Wednesday. We're getting close to Friday, hump day. We've got a fantastic slate of stuff to talk about today. I wanted to touch on the Panther-Falcon game. One team's going one way, the other team's going another way. I want to touch on some college football games that I didn't hit on. I want to give a shout out to John Arnold and his Oklahoma Boomers, Sooners, baby, beating those Alabama Crimson Tide. Roll Tide, woo! Thank God we beat them. You like that, Paul Feinbaum? You Kermit the Frog, evil cousin-looking mofo. You like that? I like that, because I love that ass beating that Alabama took in Tuscaloosa on Saturday afternoon. I want to touch on the South Carolina collapse with my guy Lenore's big game sellers. What the hell happened there? And then with Lane and a couple other stuff I want to touch on. So, first off the bat, the game I just started with the top was Panthers-Falcons in Atlanta. Crazy game. Crazy game. You had Michael Penix, Bryce Young, two young guns going at it. High-flying offenses with a lot of good personnel. Panthers got a few guys. Tet McMillan, Tommy Tremble from Notre Dame. And then on the Falcons side of things, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan, decent offensive line, and Michael Penix, my guy. However, the game didn't turn out that way. So Carolina swept Atlanta those times. Now, this game was much better than the first game. I think it was week 3, I believe, when they got shut out in Carolina. And let me say this. Carolina's impressed me all year. Now, I was thinking about this today. After I got off work, I was driving to the gym. Do I believe Carolina is a playoff team? Frisky. I think they could kind of get in the dance. It's going to be hard sledding. The NFC's kind of crowded. But if they did get in, could they win a game? Possibly, depending on the matchup. Could they match up with Chicago? Probably not. Could they match up with San Francisco? Maybe. That's going to be time to tell, because they play Monday night in a game that I cannot wait. Christian McCaffrey's homecoming against Carolina. I'm excited. I cannot wait for that matchup. Their defense against Christian McCaffrey, who knows them all well. I'm excited for Carolina. And Bryce Young is a little inconsistent for my take. Wish he was a little bit bigger. Can't change that. But I will say this. Sorry, I'm trying to fix my glasses here. It's a little foggy here. But my point is that I'm watching Carolina. And I was critical of Tet McMillan when they drafted him. I did my mock draft. I said, all right, they took him. And I understood it. Dave Canales, and I said this in the summer, he was around Tampa with Mike Evans. Big, tall receiver to give a quarterback a big catching radius. That I got. He was in Seattle with DK Metcalf. So I understood the move, and I understood a lot of these teams are drafting, hey, I saw this prototype, let me go over that guy, right? And the Panthers saw that in Ted McMillan. Now, he's blossomed. Now, it took him a little bit of time. The NFL game's different than the college game. But he's impressed me. He's really proven me wrong. And not to say that I told you so, but I listen to the guys I trust. Daniel Jeremiah, Bucky Brooks, John Middlecoff, ex-scouts in football that I kind of get nibbits on. And my knock on McMillan, I heard this a lot, was doesn't play with effort, doesn't, always finish. And he's done the exact opposite of that. And he's balling. And he's given Bryce Young a great receiver for him to go to. They have other guys on that offense. They've really get him, Tommy Tremble, Rico Dowdle. Their offensive line's improved. I mean, they had a pretty good job against that Falcon pass rush. That's been much, much better than we give credit for. I mean, I know they played Minnesota and they're a bad offensive line early in the year. But Atlanta's pass rush is a lot better. Still a little inconsistent. That's the Falcons issue, which I'll touch on. But to me, I look at Carolina and I go, they're in a good spot. Now, what do you do with Bryce Young? Because you got to give him that fifth-year option. Could you? I probably would not. I'd have a hard time doing it. Only great year this year. I do appreciate him getting benched. Because I like guys that have gone through the mud a little bit. A lot of these guys, and this is why there's a stat out there, how many quarterbacks from Alabama? Florida, Ohio State, won Super Bowls. 0. Because they never have to face anything. They never had any adversity thrown at them. Nothing. So I'm appreciative that Bryce Young got to get benched and learn, hey, this is what the league is. So that was really encouraging to see. And how he responded to it, instead of pouting, instead of going defensive, like most people nowadays, because we're a bunch of pussies and a bunch of candy asses, besides the point, he went the right route, grinded, worked hard, and got where it was. Do I believe that him and Dave Canales have a good relationship? I do. The way that I'm watching their offense play is fantastic. Now, they played Dallas and they played Atlanta, shitty defenses. I get all that. But when I watch Carolina, they've got an identity. They want to run the football, play action game, and don't make Bryce put it all on his shoulders. Not yet, per se. Eventually you can, but right now, kind of ease him into this because, let's be honest, this is really like his first full go-around. I mean, he did play his rookie year, but that was a crapshoot. I don't count it. And then this year I count. So he's having a really good year. Impressive year. Now, I liked how he responded back half of last year. Now he's playing well. So, good sign for Carolina on that front. On the Atlanta side, oh boy. They just don't get it, man. I am a big Mike Penix fan. I like him. But before that draft, there was a lot of teams took him off the boards. Not because of the football stuff. Because in 8 years, he's ended 3 of those seasons not finishing them. So that's a huge concern. And it came back in the NFL. And I'm starting to see this. There was guys like Tua, guys like Sam Bradford, guys like Penix that are very, very talented. They are. But they've had a history of injuries. Now, some of that, whatever, but it's still rearing its ugly head again. And I'm pulling for Mike Penix. I like the kid a lot. But Atlanta, this is more falls on the organization. I don't know. Ever since Thomas Dimitroff was there, because they had that really good run when he got there, and then Mike Smith, and they had Matt Ryan. They had some good teams. I mean, Green Bay beat them, obviously. Aaron Rodgers won Super Bowl run. But they had great teams, right? They got one game. They were in the NFC Championship game. Got one play away from the Super Bowl. So they've obviously shown they can go to the Super Bowl. I think they've been to one, right? But I just feel like now I'm watching Atlanta. Their GMing has not been consistent. They have drafted okay. They drafted pass rush. That was a plus. They've been much better. They were much maligned a couple of years ago. Ever since John Abraham retired, they've been awful. They've been a lot better when I've watched Falcon games, or I just tuned in or something. But this is just, you're screwed now. Because Kirk Cousins is playing. Does he give you much? I don't know. How he's still there? I don't know. I would have just given it to Penix. But hey, it's a nice insurance policy to have because Penix is getting hurt. Kirk Cousins comes in. Easy peasy. So, there you go. But it's been a rough year for Atlanta. They're just inconsistent. The best way I can describe them is they're like the Chargers of the NFC, excuse me. I feel like there's all this talent and it just never can add up. Now, unlike the Chargers, to me with Atlanta, I don't know what I get. Are you giving Bijan 20 carries or are you giving him 7? Which one? It feels like a Raiders thing with Bijan. Now, he's not a rookie like Ashton, but it feels like I'm watching the same movie. So, in Atlanta's defense is pretty bad. If Bryce Young threw for almost 450 yards on you, you got problems. I love Jesse Bates, but he ain't your whole problem. They got issues beyond that. So you got to figure out in Atlanta what you're doing at quarterback. Where are you going forward? Because this feels like kind of like a rudderless ship. It's kind of all over the place. I want to be this. I want to be this. I want to be that. Decide on one thing and go with it. Because right now, Atlanta, they're not going to make the playoffs again. Probably not. Probably going to win 4 games. Which is a shame. Because I love the Georgia base. And I love Atlanta. Got cousins that live down there. And it's a fun vibe. But it's sad because I really had good hopes for Michael Penix this year. At times, he looked pretty good. Hasn't looked great. And that's an issue. So, keep an eye out for Atlanta. I do think something's missing there, but maybe it's ownership. Who knows? So the two college games I wanted to touch on, and I did say it's at the top. I want to give a shout out to John Arnold, my dad's friend in billboards. He's an Oklahoma born and bred guy. They beat the Alabama Crimson Tide on Saturday. Woo! I loved every minute of that game, of that beatdown, belt to ass that Brent Venables did to Alabama, not once, but twice. Did it last year in Norman, did it this year in Tuscaloosa. Fantastic. They found a recipe to go after Kalen DeBoer's team. And I will say this about Oklahoma. And this is the thing. I've been an Oklahoma fan quietly, and I root for their program. I love them better than Texas. To be honest, I do. And I was a big Baker Mayfield fan. I wasn't the biggest Lincoln guy, but I knew he could coach offense. But his defense sucked. But let me tell you something. This Oklahoma thing, I ride behind because they're really special at quarterback. I love John Mateer. I love their run game. Their defense plays lights out. They play with passion. They play with fire. They're great in the line of scrimmage. That's a key. I did see this with Lincoln's teams, but I didn't really. Offensive line-wise, maybe, but not so much defensive line. Always get pushed around. But this Oklahoma team, the last two times they played Alabama, this is concerning if you're a Bama fan, has pushed you guys around. Literally thrown you guys like ragdolls in the line of scrimmage. That's a concern. And that wouldn't happen on Saban's watch. And I'll get into Bama in a second because they got issues. But I screw with Oklahoma. I really do. And I'm impressed with them. I've always had respect for their program. They've had a lot of guys go in the NFL. They're a factory. They're a pipeline. I'm just impressed. And that, to me, their defense got after Alabama on Saturday. Belt to ass, and they went after them all night long like Donkey Kong. It was on. So, I'm happy for Oklahoma. Good job for their program. Beating out Alabama twice in 1 year. God, I love it when Feinbaum goes on his little pouty tour. Kermit the Frog, evil cousin looking mofo. I love it. On the flip side to Alabama. That was embarrassing. Again, I'm starting to figure out what Alabama is. They're a 7-on-7 team to me. They're getting pushed up around in the offensive line. They're not dominant. They have receivers that should be better, but they're not. Ryan Williams, Mr. Gaywad, Mr. Rye Gay Williams, because he just is gay. I mean, what are you doing? Walking around, he's too busy with all this other shit. He's overrated. I'm calling it right now. The most overrated receiver that I've seen in college. In my life. I'm being dead ass. He's embarrassing. Catch the ball, dude. I'm screaming at my TV Saturday. Catch the ball. Too much distractions. Too much nail polish. Nail tack. Too much carrying your teddy bear around at a football game. Are you kidding me? What are we doing? Are you gay? What's wrong with you? What was his girlfriend's? No, it wasn't. Distraction. Gay. So, besides that point, Ty Simpson, I got to say this right now, not sold. Can we stop with this? I'm hearing this all the time right now. Ty Simpson's great, Sammy. He's the man. No. Seen this movie. Mac Jones, Greg McElroy. These Bama guys have it so easy. They never get pressured, never get rattled. It's easy. So, I'm not sold. And there's nothing, I'm a traits guy. And when I watch Ty Simpson, he's fine. Like, he's serviceable. He can be fine in the NFL. But that's it. I don't see like a wow. When I watched Andrew Luck, wow. There was a size component, right? 6'5", 240. Presence. When I watch Lenore Sellers, I'll get to him after this game I'm talking about. A&M and South Carolina. 6'3", 240. Big arm. Powerful. Legs. But Ty Simpson, I don't see it. I just don't. Now, he throws really well from the pocket, and he's really surgical, and that sort of thing. And I like everything about him. He's tough, he's a gamer, all that. I got it. But it comes back to, again, Alabama can't run the football. They trying, but it just doesn't hit and miss. So, and I like Kalen DeBoer a lot. And I saw some tweets this weekend. Well, he's Brian Kelly, their version. Let's slow down. I agree with you, but I don't. I need to see more. Now, Alabama, their schedule favors them from here on out. I think they play Auburn, and they got a bunch of crap. They're going to get in. Now, how far they get in, I don't know. Because it's going to be hard to buy them out. It's $80 million. And if you want to do that, Alabama, you can. But it's different down there. But just keep an eye on that. I don't know what's going to happen down in Tuscaloosa, but that team is flawed to me. They win one way. And if they played Ohio State, they would get rolled off the field because I don't trust their offensive line against Ohio State's D-line, and their receivers, their DBs, would struggle against Ohio State's receivers. Now, it would be like a fun 7-on-7 shootout game. I'm all for it. Two big brands going at Ohio State, Alabama. But call a spade. I don't think it's close. So, I've been hearing rumors. Lane Kiffin. What do I think about that? Well, here's what I think about it. I think Lane Kiffin should stay at Ole Miss. If I'm him, I stay. Now, this could be the best that you've ever gotten at Ole Miss. It's the ceiling. Maybe that's true. I don't know if it is, but that could be true. But I also know Lane Kiffin's track record. When he hasn't had the pressure, right? Went to the NFL, Raiders, dysfunction. I read about it. I know. It was bad. It failed miserably. Tried going to USC. His dream job. Pressure out the wazoo. He failed, got fired on the tarmac. True story, not making it up. And then he goes to Tennessee, tries that. They don't love him. Throwing chairs at him. So, if I'm Lane, and listen, I heard this from Pat Ford yesterday on Dan Patrick. He likes to ruffle feathers. He likes to play people's emotions. That's what Lane does. He's kind of an instigator, poking the bear. If I'm Lane, stay, man. Now, there's a distraction if it gets more. But who's leaking this is agent Jimmy Sexton, who is with Nick Saban. So, a lot's going to happen here from here on out. I don't know what's going to happen. If I'm Lane, I stay. Because I'm not going to LSU with that hornet's nest right now. No way in hell. You got the governor coming out saying, we need to take this guy, man. No, absolutely not. And then I'm looking at it from a standpoint of Florida. You really go to that? I mean, they're patient, but they've been kind of iffy since Urban. I think they made a deal with the devil. I've said that a million times. So just keep an eye on Lane. I think he finishes it out at Ole Miss. I think he stays, but keep an eye on that. James Franklin, Mr. Fraud. James Fraud Franklin, JFF, signed with Virginia Tech. My take is, don't really care. Don't have a take on it, because my whole life, Virginia Tech has been, I mean, they were good. They had some good teams. Kind of relevant. Fell behind the 8 ball. Not sold on them. That's how I see it. So, we'll see what happens. Hey, he doesn't have to face top 10 teams a lot. The ACC is a joke. I mean, it's a terrible, terrible conference. You got Miami, they're whatever. Bill Belichick's too focused on his 24-year-old girlfriend. Whatevs. And then, Clemson's Clemson. So he's going to get some more bites at the apple in terms of getting 10 wins a year. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Last but not least, I wanted to touch on South Carolina and A&M Saturday. Oh, that was ugly. I am still the biggest Lawrence Sellers fan. And I like him a lot. But man, that was ugly. Saturday in Texas Station. That was ugly. That was hard to watch. To me, it was hard. Because I love Lawrence Sellers. And there's parts of me that blame him a lot for his regression. But another part of me does not blame him for his regression. I blame this coaching staff. Their offensive line is atrocious. I got it. But I've watched every game of his this year. And I'm buying this kid in his stock. Because to me, I think Shane Beamer's on the hottest seat going into next year. And isn't it funny, 11 months ago, they rattled off, they were 10-3. They opened up that season against Virginia Tech. I'm like, all right. Okay. But I'm looking at this thing here. He's 32-29. Not great. He's 16-24 in SC play. Not good. So there's more to just Lenore Steller's regressing to me at the forefront in South Carolina. I think more so it's the coach. And then, Beamer's got that swagger, that SEC kind of arrogance to him, which I'm all for. I got it. It's not looking good. And they're struggling to run the ball. He's getting sacked all the time. This offensive line's atrocious. I'm being honest. I've watched most of their games. The Missouri game was the most embarrassing one, where they couldn't block anybody, me or you, or this table. It was embarrassing. And you just got to wonder, he's going to come back, but at what cost? Does he want to? I think he's going to come out. He's not going to come out this year. If I'm his agent, tell him no. You got a lot to go. Not saying like there's a lot of things to clean up with him, but just mechanically and get him on the same terms passing-wise. Running-wise, I have no issues with. He's a dynamic runner. He's like Dante Culpepper pre the injury for all you old heads of football. Because I kind of remember Dante near the end, not the early Dante Culpepper. That's what he reminds me of. And he's a traits guy, and I'm all in on that. And I think the kid's great and everything about him. And then on the A&M side of things, I'm still not bought in on A&M. I love Mike Elko. I love what he's built. It helps when you got all that money. I got all that. But this is like happened a bunch this year with A&M. Like, I need to see a better, consistent plan. You're winning. I got it. You're a high-flying offense. I love watching it. These receivers are fantastic. I love Marcel Reed. It's just fun to watch. But I also got to wonder, that's going to hit the road, man. And Marcel Reed, for as dynamic as he is, I don't think he's draftable in the NFL. He's got to gain like 50 pounds of muscle, man. He's not going to survive in the NFL. Being that slender, I mean, the only guy that I know is Devontae Smith. That's it. So, very slim pickings for him to do well in the NFL. Elite college player, but we'll see if he translates to the NFL. You got a long way to go. But college football is here, baby. It's here to last. I am excited. That is all I got for tonight. I hope you guys are doing well. Wacky Wednesday. Hump day. Hope you guys are doing great. I love you guys. Love all the support. Adios. Godspeed.